All right, let's go ahead then and move forward to the next tab, which is the utility compliance e-filings and search. Under the utility compliance e-filings and search, this is where users can go to file and search for compliance filings. So the first one that's listed here is my tariff e-filing. So underneath the tariff e-filing, this is where I can go if I wanted to add certain types of tariffs, which would include my new tariff. So if I'm a new company and I need to file a new tariff, this is where I would go to file that new tariff. If it is a cancellation, this is something new that we've added. If you need to cancel a tariff in its entirety, this is the option where you, or this is the area that you would go to cancel an existing tariff in our system, just by clicking on the cancel tariff and then selecting the company and then selecting whichever PSE-MO number, and then it will cancel. It will go through the process of being canceled. If you needed to replace one in its entirety, you have that ability to replace a tariff in its entirety, or you can submit a revision under this screen. So if you're revising a current tariff in our system, this is the area where you would go to submit that. A couple things that you will note on any of these. So if I'm submitting a new tariff for a company, what you will notice is once I select the company name, the PSE-MO number field will automatically be filled in. So if that is something that you're worried about, am I selecting or am I inputting the next consecutive PSE-MO number for that company, our system will automatically know what that next consecutive number is, and it should automatically set that next consecutive number for you. So you don't have to know which one it is or remember which one it is. It should automatically set that up for you. Also to note on the revisions, under the revisions, if you are submitting a revision, you'll note you no longer have to manually input the PSE-MO number. All you have to do is select from the drop-down list. So if you're representing a company that has multiple PSE-MO numbers, you'll just have to make sure that you select from the drop-down list versus having to manually input that information in that field. All right, so that's where you would go if you needed to file new tariffs, any cancellation tariffs, any replacement tariffs, or any revisions. Let's go take a peek then at the tariff search screen. Under the tariff search screen, this area is actually combining several screens in our current system. The links that it combines in our current system is under the view tariff. If I wanted to look for a company's currently effective tariff, any completely canceled tariffs, I would click on the cancel tariff portion. Or if I wanted to see those pages that have been canceled or replaced in their currently effective tariff, I had to go through 3 steps basically to look up that information. Or if I wanted to look up any revisions, I'd have to go under the resources tab and then go under tariff submission search in order to find that information. All of those links are now combined under the tariff search option. So under this tariff search option, you have the ability to search for quite a few things under the search criteria. One thing that I will note is whenever you come to the search screen, it's going to default to your currently effective tariffs. So if you were looking for something that is completely canceled in its entirety, what you will want to make sure that you do is take the checkbox off underneath the tariff type field that restricts it to only new or replacement tariffs. So you'll want to make sure that you take the checkbox off there and take the checkbox off of the current status to limit to all current tariffs. So if I'm looking for a completely canceled tariff in its entirety, I will come to that current status field and choose canceled. Once I choose canceled and hit search, I'm now giving all completely canceled tariffs in their entirety for the PSC, or that has been issued through the PSC. If I'm looking for anything that's pending before the commission, all I have to do is come in and choose pending. Once I choose pending, I hit search, and now I can see anything that's pending before the commission. And this is where I would go if I needed to make any changes. So let's say I'm working on this tariff and anything that's pending before the commission, I have the ability to substitute, to withdraw, or to extend if I wanted to. So if that is something that is pending before the commission, how do I make that change? I'm going to come to that current status, choose the pending, and then select the company that I'm representing, select that tracking number. Once I select that tracking number, I can open up the existing or the pending tariff in front of the commission. And then in the tariff details section, I have the ability to modify a pending tariff. Once I click that modify pending, now I have the ability to extend the effective date if I need to substitute any pages, or I can withdraw the tariff if need be. So if you are needing to make any changes to a pending tariff, you'll want to make sure that you go in and find that pending tariff and then click that modify pending tariff option to modify anything on that tariff. Keeping in mind that if the tariff has already gone into effect, that you will not have that modified pending tariff option. That option is only available if that is pending before the commission. If it is not pending before the commission, you will not have the ability to make any substitutions or anything like that. That will need to be done through a revision at that point. If I'm looking for those currently effective tariffs, the easiest way to do that is to leave your default settings on this tariff search screen and then come in and either plug in your tracking number if you know the tracking number for that currently effective tariff. But most people generally don't know that. If I'm looking for a company in specific, all I have to do is come into the company field and start typing in the company name. The nice thing about this screen is, like I said earlier, we're able to link companies in this new system. So if it's a parent and a DBA company, I can look up one or the other and be able to pull that information up. So for instance, if I'm looking up Ameren, Missouri's tariffs in our current system, I wouldn't be able to find them because they're actually filed under Union Electric. So if I click on Ameren, Missouri, click search, I now have the ability to find all Ameren's tariffs, because it's going to show me which company they're actually being filed under. And since I've looked up one and they're linked in the system, I'm able to pull up information for either company by typing in one or the other. Same thing with Empire District. If I'm looking for Empires, I didn't realize they had added a DBA to their name. I click search and I can now see Liberty's information because that is who they're doing business as now. If I wanted to see the currently effective tariff, all I have to do is click on the tracking number. Once I click on the tracking number, here at the top, you'll notice I have a subscribe now button. Under that subscribe now, if you click that, anytime there are any changes to that tariff, you're going to receive an email notification letting you know that there has been a change to that tariff. So if you're interested or you're following any of that information, you can subscribe to those tariffs. If I scroll further down under the tariff details, under that tariff details section, anything that is underneath the attachments section is going to be their currently effective tariff. So anything that's listed under here as the new tariff is going to be their currently effective tariff. You'll also notice that I now have access to their canceled tariff sheets under that same section. So anything that has been replaced in their currently effective tariff is now going to be showing on that same page underneath the canceled tariff sheet section. If I scroll further down, I now have access to any revisions that have happened for that company. So you can quickly and easily see how, or what revisions have been gone into effect for that company. If there were anything pending for the company, it would show right above the effective revisions. Anything under the effective revisions is anything that has already gone into effect or that has been approved, and they should show up in that currently effective tariff. But if you needed to reference back to just that specific filing itself, you have that ability just by clicking on any of the links that are listed here for that tracking number. And then if I scroll further down, I can also see anything that has not gone into effect, whether it was withdrawn or rejected. So now on one screen under the tariff information, I have the ability under the in the tariff details section under the attachments, anything that's under there is their currently effective tariff. And then anything under the tariff details under the canceled tariff sheets or any pages that have been replaced in their currently effective tariff will fall under then the canceled tariff sheets portion. So I can see their currently effective tariff, their canceled tariff sheets, and any revisions for the company all in one screen now versus having to go through multiple screens to find that information. Any questions over the tariff portions so far that I've kind of gone over? Perfect. All right. One other thing that I will note for tariff submissions in the new system is whenever you're once EFIS 2.0 has been implemented, any new tariff submissions in the new system will only receive one type of tracking number. In the current system, we have Y tracking numbers, which are case related tracking numbers, and J tracking numbers if they're non-case related tracking numbers. That has caused some confusion. So in the new system, we are no longer going to have two separate tracking numbers. It's only going to be one tracking number for all tariffs. So all tariffs will receive a J tracking number starting on September 5th. All right, so let's go ahead then and move forward then to the new non-case e-filings page. Under the new non-case e-filing, that page is similar to the current system, and I believe I'm logged out. Yep, I got to log back in. Once I log into the system, if I'm making a new non-case submission, what I'm going to do is come to this non-case related submission and make that filing through here. In the new system, you just go to that utility compliance e-filings and new non-case e-filing. From there, you select your submission subtype. From the submission subtype, then you can come and choose your companies. If you only represent one company should automatically populate for you. If you represent multiple companies, then that area or that the subject companies will only show, or it should automatically populate if you only represent one company. But if you represent multiple companies, you will have a list or a drop-down list to choose from. Depending on what submission type you select may determine, it will determine the fields that are listed below. So if there are other options, you'll just have to, select these, whatever submission subtype, and then fill in the rest of the fields listed below that. Some fields or some submissions you will note, especially on demand sides, you will have a subject companies and a filed on behalf of company. So again, your subject company is who the actual filing is about, and the filed on behalf of company is who is actually physically making that filing for you. If it is the same, all you have to do is check the box for matching, or the basically saying that they both match. If they do both match, then that filed on behalf of field will disappear for you, and that subject company then will stay the same. The new option that we've added for this submission as well is on certain things that you submit, and I'm not finding one right now, but on some of these non-case submissions, you will have the ability to choose multiple companies if you needed to. So if you have a parent and a DBA, you can select multiples, but if you're only limited to one, that means that company is the only one that's required to file that submission, or that can file that submission. All right, moving on then to the next link, which is our existing non-case e-filings and search. Under the existing non-case e-filings and search, this is where I can look up all of those non-case submissions if I needed to search for those. In the current system, I have the ability to look those up through the filing submission tab, and then the non-case related tracking sheet, or the resources tab, and I can go to either annual report link or the non-case related query option. Although those links are now combined into one screen for the existing non-case e-filings and search. So I can look them up by date, I can look them up by tracking number. And the nice thing about this new system too is if I'm looking up a partial tracking number, I have the ability now to do that just by plugging in the partial tracking number, clicking search, and now I can see that partial or anything that pulls up with that partial number in it. So easy to get to that. You still have the ability to look those up via the submission subtype drop-down list. So if you're looking for any of that information, you can pull it up from there. You can also do it by company name, whatever option you want to do from that option. If you need to file an existing, or if you need to file a supplemental submission in any of the non-cases that you see out here, all you have to do, if you have the ability, click on the tracking number. On the tracking number, it's going to open up that non-case submission. Under the submission section, if you had an add supplemental option, this is where you would go to add any supplemental filings for that submission. So if you needed to add one, all you have to do is click add supplemental, and now you're brought that non-case supplemental submission page where you can come in and make any supplemental submissions for that filing. All right. One other thing that I do want to point out on the screen as well is, again, because companies are linked in this system, if I'm looking for something again under Ameren, Missouri, and it's actually found under Union Electric or vice versa, all I have to do is plug in the company name and hit search. And now I can actually see anything, whether it be under Union Electric or it may, maybe it's under Ameren, Missouri. Either one of them should pull up any of that information. I don't know if there's anything under Ameren, Missouri, but if there were, I would be able to pull up any of that information, whether it be under Ameren, Missouri or Union Electric, because they're linked in this new system. I could pull up either or under that option. All right, next one here is my informal interconnection agreements. This is for those telephone companies. If you needed to look up any of that informal interconnection agreement submissions, this is something, again, that is historical. All new interconnection agreements that are submitted in the system are done through a formal case now. So if you're looking up any of that historical information, this is where you would go to look up that information. All right, moving forward then to the utility events. Like I said, utility events in the new system were originally referred to in our current system as outage and incidents. In the new system, they're going to be referred to as utility events. So if you need to make a new utility event filing, all you have to do is come to the utility compliance e-filings and search screen or search tab and click on the new utility event e-filing. Once you click on that, you come in, you select the information as far as the event date. And then you choose your company from the drop-down list. Once you choose your company name, then a couple other fields may be listed below. Once I do that, I choose my report type, my submission subtype, and you will notice I no longer have outage, the outage option for submission subtype. I have either electrical contact reporting or incident. So depending on which type of or which company that you choose. If it is an electric company, the only options that you will have is electrical contact reporting and incident. If it is anything else like I'm not sure, I avoid the submission type, subtype would be a incident or an outage. So only electric companies will have that electrical contact reporting as the submission subtype. One other thing I do want to note, the issue list have changed a little bit on some submissions as far as the companies go, as far as the utility type goes, so you'll have to look at that as well. And then a couple of different things that we've added here too is on the event location. If it is an electric company and it is an electrical contact reporting option that you choose as your submission subtype, when you come down to the event location, you're going to click add new. When you do that, it says that a complete address is required for electrical contact reporting. So you'll want to make sure that you put an actual address in the fields listed above, not just put a location description here. So once you plug in your physical address for that, you click submit, then that information is added on there as well. Another thing to note is we did add another field. So instead of having just a utility contact person that I can choose from, I do have another option to have a technical contact. So if that's something that you want to add to any utility events, you do have the ability to add a technical contact if necessary. That is, I mean, if I wanted to submit one, I could. I'm not going to submit one. One thing to note for utility events, since we did change the utility event outage and incidents to utility events, the tracking number on that has changed as well. It is changed to an OI tracking number for all utility events. So any utility event that is submitted after September 5th will receive an OI tracking number. The last link that is listed here is my existing utility event e-filing and search. So if I'm looking up those existing utility events that have been filed, I can come in here and do it from this screen. So this is where I could go to look up that information If I need to file follow-up reports, I can do it from here just by opening up the event itself. So if I have access to see those utility events, I can search for any of them that are open. And if I need to do a follow-up report, all I have to do is click on the tracking number itself. Once I click on the tracking number here in the right-hand corner of that electrical contact reporting screen, I have the ability to click the follow-up report. When I click the follow-up report, then I can add a follow-up report for that if I need to. Any questions over the utility compliance e-filings and search tab?